Love this podcast? Support this show through the Acast supporter feature. It's up to you how much you give, and there's no regular commitment. Just click the link in the show description to support now.
Fine wine is the best kept secret in investing. VinoVest is changing that. With the stock market being so volatile, it's good to start diversifying. Do you want to learn why wine investing with VinoVest not only delivers delight, but also consistent returns that have outspaced the stock market? Just give me a minute and I will explain everything. First of all, some of you might be thinking, I'm not old enough to drink, this is not for me. Well, actually, you can still invest with VinoVest even if you're not old enough to drink. Did you know that wine has 1/3 the volatility of the stock market and has outperformed the global equities market over the past 30 years? With 10.6% annualized returns, equipped with a team of world-class sommeliers who evaluate wine and determine which ones will gain value over time, VinoVest is the easiest way to acquire new investments. Go to zin.ai/GenZeros to rise to receive 2 months of fee-free investing. Start investing with VinoVest today.
This podcast is a Vasilis Carly's production.
Hello, everyone. I'm Kennedy.
And I'm Vasilis.
We run Changemaker Z, a student-run initiative that aims to empower, educate, and connect Gen Zers interested in entrepreneurship.
We interview teenagers with impactful projects and create resources to help you change the world. If they can do it, so can you.
On this podcast, we discuss the logistics of creating different types of projects with Gen Zers who have already done it. We will leave our social media and website information in the description. In today's episode, we meet with Thomas Bisballe, the co-founder of the PozzlePlanet app, to talk about PozzlePlanet and how your individual actions can make a huge impact. Welcome to the show. So nice to meet you.
Hi guys, and thank you for having me on. Excited to discuss this.
I'm so excited to have you. Before we start any podcast, I always just like to ask, can you tell me about yourself and kind of how you got started with PozzlePlanet?
Ooh, how long time ago? Well, originally I was I started my career as a sociologist, actually, and a researcher, and that was kind of my career path for a long time. And eventually I ended up starting a PhD nearly 10 years ago around social entrepreneurship and measurement of social impact. But a couple of months into that program, I got fed up with the kind of I thought I was going to be a researcher, right? But it didn't really click. And then I ventured out, and since then I've been working in management consulting and in the startup world, building different projects, working also with innovative finance or social finance. So how you finance projects for good or sustainability. So that's been kind of my angle working with PozzlePlanet.
How did you get started with PozzlePlanet, and how did the pandemic impact the foundation of this company?
Yeah, we started this company, the journey on this company 2 years ago when I met my co-founder Johanna in Copenhagen. She's originally from Australia and came out with a career in wind energy. So I'm a sociologist, and she was an aerospace engineer turned software engineer. So kind of that's our journey, and we started building this company together in Copenhagen. But Joe went back to Australia. In the March 2020 when something happened in the world, right? And she's actually been located there since then. So we've been for the past nearly 2 years we've been building this company fully remote, and right now we are a team that is dispersed in Australia, in Spain, in Denmark where I'm sitting, but also we have people coming in our guild, which is a new way we will start working from in China, basically on all continents right now.
So you were building a social impact app called Impactor. What was the original idea, and why did you change the app to what is PozzlePlanet today?
PozzlePlanet is a pivot. Last year we were working on another, and that's kind of where I think we met, you contact us in the first instance, was we were building a short form social app called Impactor. built for like a community for sustainability. But I would say last summer, something like you said, we talked about in before we started, like NFTs, crypto hit kind of landed or hit our project back then like a meteorite, and we decided to pivot 5 months ago into what is now called PozzlePlanet.
That's awesome. And you brought up Impactor, and I kind of wanted to just touch on that because like it was the original like project that was before PozzlePlanet, and I guess it kind of failed, would you say?
No, not at all. Actually, we were about like 3 weeks. We were ready to launch. We ran a really successful private beta, which we had like a private beta testing. So we had beta users, we had users for 5 months, and actually we had to, which is really important for a consumer app, we have really high retention. So like over 45% of the users, they came back on a 30-day basis, which is kind of, it's really good. So actually it wasn't because it was a fail, it failed as such. It was more that the mechanics of, we had this idea, like I said, we were hit by crypto. So what we built was a short form video, kind of like how we built it was kind of like been looking at, okay, what's happening like on Instagram, what's happening with TikTok, and okay, taking some of these elements and then combining it with more like elements of Fitbit. So there was a lot of indicators and like you can see your progress, and also the social graph was a bit different. So there was also a leaderboard. So we had this point system in kind of like the idea of the app. So it wasn't just about being a social feed where we're scrolling and looking at people's content, but it was also kind of like the competitiveness or the competition or the game design was that it was about influencing people. So you got awarded or you got points from setting up a video challenge where you and people started copying you. And that's kind of like the whole, I would say, the basis of what we're building is this social diffusion mechanism.
While I was reading your CV, I saw that you are a sociologist, and I was like curious, like how is your background in sociology connects with the app's ventures?
So this now as a startup founder, you do anything, but I would say my forte or where my angle is kind of like design thinking, and in that my background in sociology. And that's kind of like, we will go into this, but that's kind of what we are building. Our platform is built around these kind of like motivational triggers and behavioral change. So that's kind of where some of my background comes into play, I would say, for the most part.
All right, so recently, I don't know about you guys, but I just keep hearing the word like NFT going around. Like, can you give us a basic rundown of NFTs?
Oh, yeah, that's a really good. I will try to make it as short as possible, right? So NFT stands for non-fungible token, and something that is fungible is something that can be changed to an equivalent item, right? So you can say a US dollar bill, you can exchange that with another $5 exchange bill, and that's a fungible token. That's kind of like when you say a cryptocurrency, like a Bitcoin. I'll give you one Bitcoin, and then it's one Bitcoin. So it's kind of the same. There's a set amount of it, but it's still kind of just the same, represent the same kind of value unit, right? But then a non-fungible token would be that one of these $5 bills, Banksy, he draws a kind of a sketch on it, right? And then you have a $5 bill with a Banksy drawing on it, or Andy Warhol, not that he's dead, but anyway, you get the picture. Some artists, they will make this unique, and then you have a non-fungible token. So that's kind of what a non-fungible token is. It is kind of like this protocol, a database that is stored on the blockchain, but it's one of one, so it's unique. So somewhere on the blockchain, there's different blockchains, but let's say it's on Ethereum, then there will be a kind of a store of data that's kind of immovable. You can't change it, and that will represent kind of like this NFT, and this NFT can store any data, right? So what we've seen so far is a lot of like these profile pics and like artwork and also music files, but and also in-game kind of like skins in games of people, and also I think also plots of land inside a lot of like these play-to-earn games. But in reality, and what's really exciting, what really excites me about it is also like using it outside, right? So it could be actually become kind of a store, like a proof of ownership for, I don't know, a a part of this apartment, right? Instead of having a normal contract on a piece of paper, it could be an NFT, right?
I'm curious to learn what's the use of cryptos in today's world. Do you have any interesting examples of applications of their use?
We also saw that the opportunities in the crypto space were really, some might know it, but I think one thing why crypto has been has had kind of like a breakthrough last summer or something like that was because of the NFTs, of course, around the profile pictures and all kind of those utilities, but also. And I think a lot of, especially young people, can resonate like the gaming world. So a lot of games started to come online where you had especially a game called Axie Infinity that kind of introduced this business model of play to earn. So you now have gaming platforms where you are earning based on your activity, based on a cryptocurrency or token economy. And I remember one morning I received a letter from an investor we were talking to at that point, and he wrote a blog. They wrote a blog where they said people in the Philippines are surviving the pandemic by playing this game.
Do you think influence is playing a dominant role in social media? If you do, how can we use it properly to bring awareness and social impact for good?
I think my first thought was, okay, this is a game with a social impact. And since I've been in this space that's kind of impacted the space, then it was really interesting, right? And then I started reading it, and it was just like this play to earn and how actually people were rewarded for their activity. And yeah, playing this game that was kind of like a Pokemon game and earning a living. And I just thought it was incredibly interesting because we've been not fighting, but kind of figuring out what the business model are. The original business model and impact that was kind of like the kind of what you see on all social media is kind of like this ad-driven business model where you kind of farm attention from the users, right? And then you try to chuck in some ads, either organically by influencers doing it or creators as they call it now, but influencers basically plugging product, or it's like these ads that come in automatically generated, right? So that was also kind of what we were figuring out. We had a marketplace or sustainability because that was kind of our niche, this sustainability content.
It's true that sometimes we, the people, think that the social media have so many ads, and then instead of being the users, sometimes we feel like being the product of them, and the clients are the companies that they are paying for the ads. But the PozzlePlanet has a different perspective on this. So how does the PozzlePlanet app go against the idea that users are the product of social networks?
Everybody is getting tired of the ad model, and we are getting more and more tired of being the product in some of these social networks. What we are basically they are free, but we pay with our attention, right? And I think that is also what are some of the feedback and some of the interest we got from some of our early adapters. Were like, okay, you're building a new social network. This sounds interesting. One, because it was around sustainability, but also the abilities to stop feeding us ads or something like that. So we had this kind of like this tension in our business model, and then this token model came up and just seemed like kind of an interesting area. And we had some downtime during the summer where we were finalizing the impact app, getting it ready to launch. And then we're just, okay, maybe we should introduce a token, make that part of our game. This impact to earn came lingering in Johanna and my brain. And I was just like, hey, how can we do this? And we just like, maybe we'll just launch the app and then put a token inside it. We needed a payment system anyway. We were paying creators for their activity based on the leaderboard or on this leaderboard on the in-game or in-app activity. Anyways, we talked to some people that were kind of way more experienced in crypto and building in what's called Web3, and they were just like, yeah, you can put a token inside your existing app, but there's difference between NFTs and fungible tokens, which is like a currency, right? Like Bitcoin or anything, right?
Yeah.
So there's okay. So we actually, like I said, 3 weeks before launching, we actually took the really tough decision to pull the plug on Impactor and then start from scratch, because we just see this opportunity of crypto and Web3 as a once in a lifetime opportunity, really. So what we did is actually, instead of launching a platform and then attaching a token, we are doing it the opposite around. We are launching a token and building a platform on top of that.
So you keep using the word social movement. What is it all about?
So kind of like our tagline right now is the only digital world built by taking action in the real world. So this kind of like kind of a metaverse. We already hate that word, but it's captured. But anyway, it is kind of like how can we? The main function is a digital space when you build out by taking action in the real world. So it's still, the mission stayed the same. It's a platform and a community centered around sustainable content, people sharing lifestyle hack things around sustainability by short video. But I would say it has become more hybrid between a social and a mobile game. It is kind of like the journey where you start doing something that looks small, and then and it gets more and more complex. So you might start out with just like, okay, remember your water bottle, or join a challenge where you you put on Spotify and listen to it and take a shower for 3 minutes on a playlist where all the songs 3 minutes, because then you save some water. And that will then add up, because then you will start doing other stuff. And what we actually saw in the Impact app, which is super interesting, that people that came into the app, they were just like, oh, I don't really do a lot of sustainable stuff. But then they started, okay, I can do this, I can do that. I'm doing this already. I'm doing this all the day. And that kind of like becomes this positive feedback loop where you actually, it seems daunting and it seems really hard. And we basically, all of us needs to do a lot of, also depending upon where you live on Earth, right? But a lot of us has to change a lot of our, like what we've been accustomed to, and actually also what is deemed as fashionable and like aspirational in our current society. And so we're up against some like behavior is one of the hardest things to change, right? But it is actually possible, and especially if you're motivated in a social setting.
Last question. What is the gameplay and the storyline inside your app?
So what the gameplay is that each planet in a universe. So instead of you arriving in a normal video feed where you start scrolling videos, you arrive in a astronaut view of the Earth, right? So it's kind of like a 3D modeled animated world. And then you can zoom in on that, and then it becomes resemblance like a smart map or a Snapchat map, right? So you can see videos are like attached to different places on Earth, and the whole thing is that then you can join these videos as you could in the Impact app. You join a challenge, you add your video, and once a set amount of people have added videos to this chain, then it will spawn up and become a planet. So it will become, let's say you set up a challenge around let's eat vegan meals, right, or cook vegan, and then it becomes the cook vegan planet. And once all the land on this planet is filled with puzzles or videos of people doing or replicating that action, let's say bring your water bottle, go to a climate demonstration, show some kind of act of kindness to your neighbor or something like that, like good deeds, right? Then it will get completed and minted as an NFT, and then that part of the game, like that mission, or that you can say, that level is done, and then it's completed and comes an NFT. And the thing is that all the participants in building this NFT will then own this NFT.
All right. So how are people rewarded?
You are rewarded by ownership of these NFTs, but you're also rewarded with the POZ token. For adding your content, right? So that's kind of like rewarded, but at the same time, people can also stake, or they can pledge our POZ token to incentivize people taking action or completing. So if I've earned some POZ doing some other completing another planet, then maybe I want to see a lot of people do, I don't know, something I care about, of course I care about, and then I can pledge my POZ, and then it will be dispersed to the people that complete the planet.
But I was reading your website, and like you kind of talked about the rippling effect, and I just wanted to make sure that we touched on that, because we often feel so powerless as individuals in this fight for sustainability, or like anything, like any major issue. It's because like we always tell ourselves, oh, I'm one person, I can't do anything. But you know, the rippling effect, I don't know if you want to explain that a little bit, but
yeah, so we totally acknowledge that we are in the systems, right? And it's not up to me as a consumer to do something about the energy system, but I can do my part. And the rippling effect is based on kind of like this idea about tipping point. So the basic idea is that every movement, it actually starts somewhere, right? There's somebody that took an action. Like if we go back to the civil rights movement in the US, right? It started by a woman actually doing something like changing behavior in a bus, right? Going up against like what's deemed to say this is the behavior you have, this is how you have to act, and that kind of like started like a tipping point, a whole wave of new behavior, right? So that's the basic idea, and kind of like if enough people rally around something, then we start to change, then we'll create this social change.
That's all for today's episode. PozzlePlanet is an amazing initiative that focuses on individual actions to create a change, and we think you should check it out. You can find all the information at PozzlePlanet.com, and you can also follow them on Twitter at PozzlePlanet. Everything will be linked in the description below, but we would like to thank Thomas for sharing their initiative up with us today.
Until next time, start making sustainable changes and keep changing the world. Bye! Thank you guys for listening. We hope you enjoyed our conversation. We had such a great time. Make sure to leave us a review. If you want more Changemakers content, you can follow us on Instagram at Gen Zers to Rise and on Facebook at ChangemakersZ.